I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Hi. Thank you very much, Jim.
Of course, the concern about smart meters, as you pointed out to me off air, they're just computers. And being computers, they're high maintenance, and they don't last all that long. Now, I know the budgeting for smart meters was for, 15, 20 years?
20 years.
How often do they really have to be replaced?
Well, what they're seeing in the States is that 5 to 7 years is the useful lifespan. But even during that 5 to 7 year period, they're having to be maintained. These are computers, and the industry is now calling them computers, and this is being done to justify the fact that they're high maintenance. Software programs have to be updated. These things have to be exchanged when they outlive their usefulness. This is all in addition to the fact that mechanically they're cheaply made, and the rate that they break down is pretty high too. We don't have any statistics here in British Columbia, but I just recently read an article that in Texas, one of the companies down there is saying 1 out of every 5 is defective within the lifespan. That's a pretty high failure rate. And when you look at the fact that, like any computer, things change constantly. So we're going to be paying not only for this $555 per computer that was, the initial cost, but we're going to be having to pay for maintenance. Also, we're going to have to be paying for upgrades because these are not up to standard with regard to cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is very, very expensive. Even if you can get something that works, it's expensive. And then after 5 to 7 years, they have to be replaced. And so will we be in for another $555 payment for a meter? I suspect we will. It's never ending. And when I tried to provide this information to John Horgan 2 or 3 years ago, because John has been excellent at raising the fact that these are expensive and that they have no oversight. And so even though he doesn't accept that the health and the fire and the security issues are important, he is concerned about the cost. But he's never reacted or responded to the information that I provided saying that they have a very short life expectancy. I think this is something we all need to be extremely concerned about, and I'm hoping that everyone will make this information available to their MPs and MLAs.
The big concern that people have overall about smart meters is the exposure they have to cyber hacking. And now the Canadian Security Intelligence Service and other security agencies are very concerned that somebody could hack into our smart meters and turn the lights off for a very, very long period of time.
Well, this is nothing new, Jim. The CIA in the States, the FBI, Homeland Security, all of those organizations have been warning for the last 4 or 5 years that the cybersecurity is the weakest link here, that it will be very, very easy for an accident or an attack to take place. And when it does, the entire grid could be compromised. And once we're tied in to the U.S.'s grid, when and if they get attacked, we will too. One of the people, I think it was David Petraeus, I can't remember for sure, said it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when this attack will occur. And when it occurs, it will not last for a few days or a few weeks. It could be up to years because of the complexity. If you remember, and I know you do, the virus, the Stuxnet virus, I believe it was put into the Iranian system to bring down or prevent their development of a nuclear bomb. This sort of virus could be put into the system, could be there already, just waiting to be activated. If that happens, we have no protection. And finally, Canadian agencies are starting to pick up on it. This is the first time I've read of any Canadian agency or politician raising the issue. And in an article just a few days ago, The head of Canada's main spy agency says that he views the possibility of a cyber attack by ISIS or another extremist group on the country's infrastructure as a major threat. I think people should be very alarmed about this because we don't have the protection that we need. And many places are, for instance, in the UK, they're spending many billions, and that's billions with a B, many billions of dollars in trying to beef up their cybersecurity status. As far as I know, we're not spending anything. And when you talk to Hydro and Fortis about it, they say, oh, our data's encrypted. As if that means anything. They don't understand the threat that is being posed. I believe that we should have taken heed from people like Timothy Schleckel, who said the safest thing is to build these grids at a local level. Each community should have its own electrical grid, whether it's sun, whether it's wind, whether it's thermal, whether it's, from power, from water, whatever it is. We should be able to stand on our own so that if New York gets hit or Los Angeles or Seattle gets hit, we're still able to function. We haven't done that, and I think that although there are some communities now starting to take that stand, I've been told that Galiano, an island here just off the coast of Vancouver Island, is looking to have its own system. We need to do things like that if we're going to protect ourselves and our families.
Well, Ted Koppel, former ABC TV anchorman, has written a book called Lights Out, and that's all about cybersecurity and how the power grids across the U.S. and Canada are super vulnerable simply because you have this computer connection now with smart meters in every home.
Yeah, because there are so many, I think he uses the word portal, there are so many entries where people can get in, not only to hack data, which is certainly a major concern from a personal standpoint, but also to put the virus into the system. People who are very good at this, at computers, will probably find it silly to say that, we should only be concerned about our personal data. That's an important item, but when you're coming to the point where, as Ted Koppel is, warning that the whole society could be affected, when you start thinking of what happens when we have no electricity, you should be very worried. Initially, we start thinking about heat and how do we cook our food and things like that, but you won't be able to get gasoline for your cars. This means farms will not be able to raise crops. Neither will they be able to transport crops to us.
You will have no access to money if the ATM doesn't work.
You don't have anything to buy. There won't be anything in the stores because there won't be any way of getting it to us. They can't, unless you've got a sailboat, there's no other way of getting food to us. The ferries won't be able to work. They use fuel. We won't be able to fly. Cars won't run because they won't be able to get gasoline. It's a pretty scary scenario. As David Bertayes or some of the other people said, we will truly be in the dark ages. And I don't think many of us are prepared to live that way. We don't have the knowledge and we don't have the tools needed. We are truly tied to electricity.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. Sharon, apart from the concerns about the cyber hacking, what about the personal level, the radiation that these things can put out?
This is something, Jim, that hasn't been talked about as much as it should be. Every wireless device, whether it's a cell phone, a Wi-Fi modem, a cordless baby monitor, or a smart meter, regardless of what it is, it emits microwave radiation. And there are thousands of studies that show serious biological effects from prolonged exposure. Now, the Bioinitiative report, which was done initially in 2007 and then updated again in 2010, said that a level over 0.01 microwatts per square centimeter, which is a minuscule portion of what Health Canada allows, could be dangerous, and they recommended not having anything higher than that. This, of course, is something that the industry ignores and tries to mock. You will see statements in newspapers and advertisements by Hydro and everywhere saying that these are tin hatters. It's not. You can't call people who have studied this for decades, who've devoted their careers to research in this field, tin hatters. Instead, the people who are calling us tin hatters are those who have vested interests, who, for instance, own companies, have stock, have financial gains to make at our expense. And as you know, in 2011, the World Health Organization's ICNIRP, the group that looks for cancer and tries to identify cancerous agents, declared that microwave radiation from any device as a to-be or possible human carcinogen. At the time, they didn't call it higher, which would be probable or definite, because they said they didn't know the mechanism. They didn't understand why this happened. Well, they didn't understand, may not even understand today, why cigarette smokers get lung cancer. But it's a fact that they do. It took decades and decades and decades of fighting the industry before they even were allowed to put labels on cigarette packages. And that's where we are today with wireless devices. We are fighting uphill battles to bring this knowledge to the public where it deserves to be. And recently, over the last 2 to 3 years, there have been many studies that have shown the mechanisms. It's now pretty darn clear that it's due to stress on the cells that break them down. It's through calcium channels. There are many ways of showing how the damage is done to cells. At the cellular level, the walls are breached, and damage is done to the DNA, to our cardiac system, to the neurological systems. You get everything from skin rashes to increased allergies to digestive problems to brain cancer. It's the whole spectrum. It affects different people in different ways. And just recently, over the last couple of weeks, there have been some very interesting studies released. And one from Europe that I read this week showed that they took a bunch of healthy young teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17. They ruled out they didn't include anybody who had any health problem, who was overweight, who had any family history of diabetes, cardiac, or anything. They were healthy young people. They had 2 groups of them. One in a school that was near a cell tower. One in a school that was not. They had the second group that was not had virtually no level of radiation that they could measure. The one in the first group that was, I think it was within 200 meters of a cell tower, had 9.6 nanowatts per square centimeter. Now, I know to most people that means nothing. 9.6 nanowatts equates to 0.0096 microwatts per square centimeter. At the same frequency that the cell tower emitted, which was 900 megahertz, Health Canada allows 270 microwatts per square centimeter. 270 versus 0.0096. And at 0.0096, the glucose level in the blood of these young, healthy teenagers was increased. They did a hemoglobin test that showed exposure over the last 6 weeks, which is now accepted by the Diabetic Association, by most major hospitals, as a good diagnostic tool for identifying people who are likely to develop diabetes. And at this level of 0.0096 microwatts per square centimeter, there was a substantial increase in the glucose levels in those healthy teenagers over the other teenagers who were not near a cell tower. That's pretty significant, and especially when you look at the levels. This is a lower level than has ever been identified as being a problem. The Bioinitiative report said 0.01. This is 0.0096. And I want to emphasize that We now have these things on our homes. Smart meters are wireless computers. They have 2 transmitters in them. The one in the 900 megahertz range will be transmitting all day, pulsing all day long, either sending data out or receiving data from your neighbors and transporting it over. And we can't get away from it. In many instances, this is on walls near bedrooms or near places where people are spending a lot of time. And the level, no doubt, if we could measure that low, and I don't think most meters that we have could measure the 0.0096 level. I know my meters won't. People will be exposed, and there will be health problems, and we are not being given a choice. These things are being put on our homes because the government wants them on our homes, because they have deals with the telecommunications industry to put these on our homes. We are fighting this in our class action lawsuit. We are charging that this is being done in breach of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that we all have. In the Constitution, it says that no government can force us to do something that we believe will be injurious to our health or the health of our families, health or safety of our families. And there is certainly enough evidence with the thousands of studies that are out there saying that this is dangerous at even lower levels than the smart meter emits. And we are going before on the court. We'll be going before the judge in Vancouver Supreme Court on December 7th to try to get our class actions lawsuit certified. This is the first step. Hydro is arguing that we have no right to do this, that it's a frivolous action, that it's brought about by people who are hysterical, that there is no basis in science, and they'll be bringing in people who are being paid for or who have vested interests in the industry. You can be darn sure about it. We have people who have nothing to gain financially, who have committed years, who have devoted their careers to trying to find the truth out about these things, whether they're dangerous or whether they aren't. We have a right to know. And I hope that people will make an attempt to come down on the 7th or 8th of December to the Supreme Court in Vancouver and listen to it, because I think it will be a very interesting opportunity for people to listen to see how Hydro is treating us. I think they'll be shocked.
I think it'll be interesting to see if the mainstream media who run a lot of Hydro ads show up and report it.
I hope so too. We are encouraging people to come. If they can't stay the entire time, at least come for part of the time. If you wish, bring a sign and stand outside. It's going to be from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon and 2:30 till 4, starting December 7th. It's scheduled for 5 days, but we don't know for sure if all 5 days will be needed. But 7th and 8th, I would say for sure, will be there. And the Supreme Court is at 800 Smythe Street in Vancouver.
Sharon, thanks a lot for chatting with us. Oh, by the way, are there any websites people can go to find out more about the class action lawsuit and the latest research?
There sure are, Jim. They can go to www.citizensforsafetechnology.org or to www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions that people have. They can contact me through the Coalition website.
Thanks again, Sharon.
Thank you, Jim.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be emailed to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.